It's time for the podcast. It's time for the podcast. Podcast time. Podcast time. It's time for the podcast. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Super Power Man of the Hour here. Welcome back to another episode of The Verdict. Good to see you all. Glad to be here. Thanks for joining. I'm wearing my Spider-Man shirt. Hopefully that doesn't give me a copyright strike. We'll see how it goes. Welcome to the show. We are going to be talking about the newest Marvel entity on the block, hence why I'm wearing my Marvel. I'm repping the squad. Um, but yeah, we're gonna talk some She-Hulk. Yeah, that's right. The first two episodes have dropped. The first episode premiered last week on August 18th. Episode two dropped today at the filming of this video episode. It's Thursday, August 25th. You guys will see this Friday, August 26th. So, yeah, the episode dropped today. I watched it last night or in the morning when it first dropped at like midnight so that I could be able to give y'all this review and talk about the first two episodes, my thoughts on them, some of the things like that. So I'm going to do it in the words of Tyrone Magnus, who is a famous YouTuber. I'm going to do it mullet style, basically. So review in the front, spoilers in the back. You know, if you want to do it high top fade style, this is the sides. You know, my sides are the review, and the actual hair itself are the spoilers. If you want to do it that way, I don't care. Anyway, so She-Hulk is about Jennifer Walters. That is our main protagonist of the story, cousin of Bruce Banner. She's an attorney. She enjoys her life. She's working her way up in the world of law and lawyering and attorneying and all that, you know, jazz. And we find out that she is a Hulk and she has been a Hulk for a while. When we pick up on the show breaks the fourth wall, much like Deadpool. So she was one of the characters in the comics that would tend to break the fourth wall a lot. So that's what they're doing in the show, which I appreciate. I enjoy that. But yeah, so she breaks the fourth wall like almost right away and sort of goes through the story of how it happened to her, what went down, and you know, obviously the beloved Mark Ruffalo, who plays and has been the Hulk in the MCU for well over a decade now at this point. Not well over a decade, but about a decade. The first Avengers movie was 2012, it's 2022. Yeah, so decade. This is 10-year anniversary. Happy 10 years, Mark Ruffalo. You've done a great job. And so we sort of pick up on that and we see, you know, how her life has been since becoming a Hulk and what that means for her. Fast forward to episode two, she is still dealing with the fact that she is a Hulk, and now she has to try and navigate the world of law and criminal justice and all that stuff and all that jazz with her best friend, who I forget her name in the show, and I feel like I recognize the actor who plays her. She seems very familiar. I almost said that it was Nicole Scherzinger at first because they look alike, but no, that's not who it is. So, but yeah, so she, along with her Jennifer, along with her really good best friend, we're trying to navigate this world, and you know, her best friend's helping her. I got you, I got you. You know, we're gonna try and figure it out. And her best friend is sort of like, let's you know, take advantage of this. You know what I mean? Like, let's take advantage of the fact that this is who you are now, and this is what you know, this is what you do, right? So, but Jen is sort of just like, no, I want to be me. You know, if I succeed in this industry or in this profession, I want it to be because Jennifer Walters did it, not because She Hulk did it. She doesn't, and this isn't really too much of a spoiler, but she hates the name She Hulk. She doesn't really like it that much. She doesn't want it to stick. We all know it's gonna stick, right? So that was interesting. The show was funny. The show was funny. It's funny where it's supposed to be. Okay, Ginger Gonzaga is playing Nikki Ramos, who is Jennifer Walters' best friend in the show. We see Jamila Jamil as Titania. I think I'm saying it right. Titania. We see her early. And then we also see Tim Roth as Abomination, or Emil Blonsky from OG Incredible Hulk 2008 that wasn't received so well. We don't talk about it. But yeah, so um, you see, this is what I have to deal with. This is what I have to deal with. I'm over here trying to promote and give y'all good content, and then people want to come in and are we done? Okay, thank you. So yeah, we see some pretty interesting faces already in the first two episodes, which I thought was really good. Um, I enjoyed the first episode more so than I did the second episode, even though the second episode was progressing the story forward. And it feels like right now that the show is going to be 6 episodes long, even though they already said it's going to be a 9 episode show, which I love that. The only other the only other 9 episode show that Marvel has done is WandaVision. So I'm really excited to see what She-Hulk does with the additional 3 episodes that not all the other shows have gotten. But right now it feels like the pacing of it feels like as if they're trying to get stuff done in a 6 episode span, which is interesting because I don't know if that's gonna hurt the show or benefit the show, just because right now it seems every episode seems really really short. Like I got done watching the second episode and I was just like, that's it. Like no way that can be it. There are post credit scenes. There are 2 post credit scenes, one in each episode. So yeah, but yeah, I think right now, I would say the first episode was a lot better than the second episode, even though the second episode was good as far as world building and story building. But but yeah, and in the second episode, and I'll talk about this in the back half of my review in the spoilers section. But in the second episode, Jennifer comes across a very particular opportunity, a very interesting opportunity, and it sort of has some implications and there's a bit of concern and cause for pause with this opportunity. So that's interesting to play with, and that's why I'm a little upset that the second episode was so short because I would have enjoyed seeing how they go about like finding a way to get around and like really dive into that. Oh snap, this is interesting, not just to Jennifer but to a lot of other people involved. So that's as much as I can say on that without spoiling it or anything like that. But yeah, so far so good. I can't like give a comparison of like how it is compared to other shows yet. I mean, I can kind of do that. I think as far as the first 2 episodes go, they're definitely, I think these first two episodes are definitely some of the better first 2 episodes. Loki had some really good first 2 episodes. WandaVision's first 2 episodes were pretty okay. But I mean, that kind of thing is just too hard to tell. So I'd rather just save that for when the series is over and I've gotten through the entire show and I've seen the season finale, and then I can accurately compare it to all the other MCU shows. I apologize for the noise in the background that you hear. Apparently, they don't care about the verdict. Anyway, so so yeah, so I would say on a scale of one gavel to two to not two, one gavel to 5 gavels. And if you don't know what a gavel is, it's the little thing that the judges in court be having. Do watch an episode of Judge Judy or something. I mean, it's not hard. The little thing. Anyway, but on a scale of one gavel to 2 gavels, I don't understand why I keep saying 1 to 2. I don't. This is what's going on up here. On a scale of one gavel to 5 gavels, I'm gonna give the first episode. I'm gonna give the first episode 3.75 out of 5. And then I'm gonna give the second episode 3 out of 5 gavels. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. They're not bad, but they're not great. I feel like the episodes. Well, okay, I'm gonna change my ranking for episode one. I'm gonna give episode one a 4 out of 5 because it was a solid first episode. The way they introduced everything, and the comedy was pretty good. It didn't feel too forced. Yeah, 4 out of 5 for the first episode of She-Hulk, and then 3 out of 5 for the second episode of She-Hulk, because it should have been longer. And yeah, but that's my review of She-Hulk episodes 1 and 2. And just for reference, so that y'all know, I'm gonna be doing reviews every 2 episodes, even though I know it's a 9 episode series. I'm gonna be doing reviews every 2 episodes. So from here up until about, I want to say, September, sometime in September. From here on out until sometime in September, like the mid to end of September, you'll be getting She-Hulk reviews every other week, so that I can have time to watch 2 episodes and then review 2 episodes and then review. And then once we get to episodes 7 through 9, I'll watch all of those in one sitting, and then I'll do the season finale review at the end. And so then it'll be 2 weeks before you get another She-Hulk review from me. So just so y'all know where we're going with that. I sound like a professor or a teacher of something, and it's gross. It's gross. I want y'all to have a roadmap so y'all can look forward to something. Because like if you enjoy my She-Hulk review, then I'll do more reviews of other stuff, from movies and stuff like that. We got Black Panther Wakanda Forever coming out. I'm going to see it. I got to review it. So if this is good and y'all enjoy this type of content from me, type of content, put that on the shirt. But if you enjoy this type of content from me, then I'll do more of it. But for now, we're just gonna keep the ball rolling. All right, enough of that. Enough of the generic, virgin non-spoiler talk. It's time to get into the good stuff. So if you have not seen episodes 1 and 2, I'm going over both. If you have not seen episodes 1 and 2 of She-Hulk, this is your chance. Stop watching this review, go watch the episodes, then come back to the courtroom, and let's have a conversation and all that stuff. But you got until the count of 1, the count of 2, the count of 3. All right, spoiler talk. Here we go. It's officially happening. So the first episode opens, and she is doing her thing at the law firm. She's got a really big case that she's trying to land. And she goes into a room, and that's when we get the fourth wall break immediately. And she's talking to us, and she's like, "Yep, I'm a Hulk. I understand that you guys aren't going to care about the show unless I go over it. So here it is." So then we get the whole backstory of how she became a Hulk and how it happened. And that's when we are reintroduced. That's when we see Bruce for the first time, and Bruce is now back to being Bruce. He's no longer Professor Hulk, or Smart Hulk as they're calling him in the show, which is dumb. Just call him Professor Hulk. That's who he is. But he's no longer Professor Hulk. He has been able to make himself Bruce again. And there's this inhibitor on his arm, and we see it, that we get a shot of it. There's this inhibitor on his arm that I guess is helping him stay in Bruce form. Because if you remember, at the end of Shang-Chi, the post-credit scene with Wong and Captain Marvel and Banner, he was Banner. He wasn't Smart Hulk. He was just Bruce Banner. And he was still in a sling, right? But I don't remember seeing the inhibitor. Anyway, neither here nor there. So they're on the road driving, talking about stuff. And then they get into this car accident because I think they said Sarkadin or Karkadin or Mamasadin. I don't know. Some kind of ship flies real low into Earth, and that's what causes the car crash. I don't know what it was doing there. I don't know why it was there. Later in the episode, Banner's like, "I gotta look into that later." Superhero stuff. Sure, I guess. If that's what you want to explain it as. But we fast forward. Bruce's blood gets into her system. That's how she becomes a Hulk, right? Very pedestrian, sort of simplified way of giving her powers. If you want to go and look up the comic accurateness of it, you can. It's not necessarily how it happens in the comics. We're not going to get into how it happens in the comics, but that's how they do it in the show. Bruce is cut open, she's cut open, his blood gets into her, bloodstream, gamma radiation. She's a Hulk. So now they're in Mexico, right? Or not yet. She goes to this bar in the middle of nowhere, wherever they were, gets all cleaned up and stuff. And then these guys start to hit on her. She hulks out. Oh, hush, I'm filming. That's enough out of you. Enough out of you. Anyway, um, so she goes to this bar, gets hit on by dudes. She's not trying to have it. She hulks out. Hulk quarterbacks the living crap out of her, just like complete spear. I'm talking Roman Reigns. And so that's when we wake up in Mexico, and Bruce is hiding her out in this little lab that Tony, God rest his soul, that Tony made for him a while ago. And so we basically go over the whole, like, you're a Hulk, this is what happens. She doesn't want to be a Hulk, she doesn't want to, live with it. Bruce is like, no, you got to. This is like, you're about to embark on this journey, and it might take you 15 plus years to get in control of it. So he tries to get her Hulk to come out by trying to kill her nearly. She-Hulk emerges, and that's when we realize that she has full control over all of her stuff. Like, there's not two people trying to fight over one body. Like, Jennifer has full control of her consciousness while she's in Hulk form. Bruce is jealous, bruh. He says that in the show. But Bruce is jealous, and so he's like, all right, let me teach you how to figure this stuff out. Jennifer crushes every single task that Bruce tries to do for her. Bruce still super jealous. They get into this big old fight. They end up breaking the bar in Mexico that Bruce has, and so that it ended. The fight ends in a draw, right? Because there ain't no way She-Hulk was going over Hulk, and there would have been some kind of backlash if Hulk would have beaten She-Hulk, even though She-Hulk has much better control of her stuff than the Hulk does. But anyway, so that happens. She finally is able to get back to her life, and Bruce is like, okay, fine, whatever, do your thing. And then we see her. We cut back to being in the room inside the law firm that she's at. And then we got to the courtroom scene where she's trying to land this case, and she's getting ready to start her opening argument. And then that's when we see Jamila Jamil as Titania. I hope I'm saying it right. And so that first episode ends with them having just a little mini brawl. The world now knows She-Hulk is out there. Boom, there it is, right? So there's that. So that's how the first episode ends, with her, kicking Titania's butt, and then she's like, "I'm ready to start," and then the credits roll. The post credit scene isn't really important to the story, but it's a funny one. Watch it if you want. I'm not going to get into it for time's sake. Episode 2 opens with a bunch of newscasters talking about what happened. We cut to Nikki and Jennifer going to this bar, and Nikki's like, they want She-Hulk, just give them what they want. Jennifer's like, fine, whatever. So she goes into the bar. Oh, and so what we established in episode 1 was that Hulks can't get drunk, right? So you can drink as much as you want in Hulk form and not get drunk, but then you still have to deal with the hangover afterwards when you return to human form. That's what we learned. So when Jennifer goes into the bar, she starts just knocking back drink after drink after drink, right? And then her boss comes up to her and is like, I need you to change. We got to have a serious conversation. So as she changes, all that alcohol just completely hits her stream, right? Because once you're sort of like in that state, but then you switch back to human form, you still got to deal with it, right? So now she's really drunk having this serious conversation, and her boss is like, gotta let you go. And so she sobers up a little bit and was like, what? So we see her try to get job after job after job. She gets no after no after no, because the whole thing was, we can't have you being a conflict of interest in cases for us, right? That was the whole issue. And so she gets approached in episode 2 by the law firm that she was going up against at the end of episode 1. And the big boss is like, I have an opportunity for you. If you have, like, you can take it. And she's like, I accept, whatever, right? So she starts the job, and she realizes that she only got hired because they want She-Hulk. So now she has to be She-Hulk at work all the time, at work, in the courtroom, all that. But she's also the face of their superhuman division, right? And so then we meet what's his name in the show? We meet Pug, like the dog breed. Yeah. What is a pug? Is it a cross of something? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. But we meet Pug, played by, I love this guy, Josh Segarra, who is FBI alum, Arrow alum. He was in Arrow season 5 as the big bad Prometheus, probably the best season of Arrow of all time ever. Love Josh Segarra, such a great actor. But we meet him, and he's also a part of the superhuman division. So now it's Nikki, Pug, and Jennifer, She-Hulk, all in one division for this firm. And the first case that Jennifer gets as a part of this firm is defending Abomination. That's right, Abomination, that guy from the old Incredible Hulk movie from 14 years ago at this point now. Yeah, 2008, 2022. Yeah. So she's like, conflict of interest, can't do it. And the boss is like, well, if you don't do it, you ain't got no job. So you better make a choice. And Jennifer is like, well, all right then. So she calls Bruce, and it's a one-sided conversation. And Bruce says, like, yo, you're just going to take the job. You're not calling me to ask my permission. You're just going to take the job. And she's like, yeah, I'm just going to take the job. And that's the part where I was talking about, I wish there would have been more of a, like, I'm not sure if you should be doing this. I'm not sure about it. Like, I don't know how you, like, right. But they kind of rushed that sort of resolve of like, yeah, I don't care. Well, I'll take this case, even though you tried to kill my cousin almost 14 years ago. Doesn't bother me at all. Whatever. But they rushed that a little bit, so I would have enjoyed to see them flesh that out a little bit. Because this episode felt like too funny, like they were trying to be too funny, which I get, but anyway, neither here nor there. So that's the second episode, and then we end the second episode. So she has a conversation with Abomination as Jennifer Walters, right? And she's like, you tried to kill my cousin, blah blah blah. And Abomination Emil Blonsky's like, that was a long time ago. I was trying to defeat the threat that your government said I had to, right? And so now she's really thinking about it, and she's like, whoa, you actually make some really good points. So that's what makes her want to take the case. But then the episode ends with us finding out that Abomination broke out at some point to go be a part of the Fight Club. If you remember from Shang-Chi way back when, Abomination was at the Fight Club that Shang-Chi's sister was running, and he was fighting Wong, that whole thing. So that's what we learned, and that's how the first episode ends, or that's how the second episode ends. So I would have enjoyed to see them flesh out the second episode a little bit more. But other than that, it was pretty good. I can't complain. I want to see where they go with this whole thing. I know that Titania is supposed to be the big bad for the show overall, but will Abomination be will Abomination play a factor? How is that going to work? What's that going to mean for She-Hulk and Jennifer and all that? I don't know how good Josh Segarra is supposed to be as Pug, just because I know that he can like look like be very like, oh, I'm a nice guy, and then become, Prometheus on the flip of a hat. So, which if you haven't watched Arrow season 5, what are you doing? Go watch it. It's on Netflix right now. Go. But yeah, that's that. I'm trying to think. Oh, so when Jennifer makes the call to Bruce, he's still Professor Hulk. Oh, also, so Bruce turns back into Professor Hulk at some point in the show after the car accident because the inhibitor broke, and so it was a prototype, and so that was the whole thing. It's like Jennifer was like, "Make me that," and he was like, "It's a prototype. It can't work like that." And she's like, "Well, make it work like that." And Bruce is like, "I can't do it," and that's why Bruce becomes Professor Hulk again. And so when she makes this call, we find out that Bruce is on the exact same ship that hovered down onto Earth and it caused the car accident that he got in. And so Bruce was like, Jennifer was like, when are you coming to LA? Because that's where the show is based. And Bruce was like, yeah, I'm not going to be in LA for a while. And then you zoom out and he's on the ship in space, and then he just zooms away. And that ends the call. So I don't know if we're going to see Mark Ruffalo again in this show. I hope we do. I love me some Mark Ruffalo. He's awesome. But I also enjoy the fact that they sort of like took him out of the picture so that She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters can have this like introductory story. What is going on with my mouth? Pause. So we can have this introductory story for She-Hulk and not be distracted by, the presence of another Avenger. But also at the same time, it's like we already know that we're going to get Daredevil at some point in the show. We all know that we're going to get Wong at some point in the show. So it's like people are expecting these cameos to come, right? So it's like how big of a distraction would the Hulk have been if we saw him in this episode? Like, even if it was just for one scene, like we saw in episode 2, it was really just that phone call. That was literally it. Like, if it was that, like, if it was one of those things where, she just calls him in times of like worry or doubt or whatever, so what? Do it. Heck yeah, I'd love it. But, either anyway. So yeah, that's my review of She-Hulk episodes 1 and 2. Hopefully this is right for you. I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you all thought in the comment section below. Are you liking the show? Do you enjoy it? How do you feel about the first 2 episodes? Is it trying to be too funny? Is it just funny enough? Is it not funny enough for you? Is it not serious enough? What do you think about the way they did some of her origin and changing the comic book accuracy of it? Like, how do you feel about that? Things of that nature. What are you most looking forward to? Like, what are you excited to see? Do you have questions? Do you have thoughts? Predictions? Well, anything like that. Let's have a conversation right down there in the comment section below. Like this video, please share it. It's so important that you share this, for real. Share it with everybody. Last week I told you to share it with the banana that you forgot to move. I hope you did. Go share it with that banana. Even if you threw it away, you get to your local recology center and go look for that banana and tell it to watch the Verdict podcast. But that's it for this episode. That's it for this episode. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, I love each and every single one of you. Appreciate you for coming into the courtroom. This is it. That's all. See you in the next one. We're out of here. The Verdict.